And George Chuvalo was one of the greatest Canadian heavyweight boxers to ever have lived in Canada and the world. And this neighborhood community center is in his stomping grounds of the Junction Triangle neighborhood in the West End of Toronto. And George Chuvalo had this community center named after him because of his incredible boxing career that spanned 21 years. And his work towards ending drug addiction and substance abuse. And George Chuvalo grew up in this part of the city. He grew up on Hook Avenue, which is just a stone's throw away from here. He was born in 1937. And his parents, both immigrants from Croatia, when they arrived in Canada, they took jobs at the local slaughterhouses, and Toronto was known as Hogtown because of all of the meat and slaughterhouses in this West End neighborhood. So he grew up in a working class family on Hook Avenue and attended Humberside Collegiate in this neighborhood, where his love of boxing began. It became very apparent that he had incredible boxing skills, and he moved up the ranks in the amateur boxing community. And in 1955, George Chuvalo won the Canadian Amateur Heavyweight Championship. And the following year, he became professional. And in 1956, he proved he was on to greatness when in one night he knocked out 4 of his opponents. And won the Canadian Heavyweight Championship. On March 29th, 1966, when Ernie Terrell backed out of a match with Muhammad Ali, the reigning world heavyweight champion.
I know, but when you're quiet, they don't know.
George Chuvalo was picked to box against Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer to ever have been in the ring. 17 days before the match was to happen, he had 17 days to train. And George Chuvalo ran his heart out and trained in High Park in the Junction Triangle neighborhood. And on March 29th, 1966, in front of a hometown crowd, he entered the ring at Maple Leaf Gardens here on Carlton in Toronto to take on Muhammad Ali. After the match, George Chuvalo said that if he had had more time to train, he may have very well won against Muhammad Ali. He did stand tall for 15 rounds here in what used to be the Maple Leaf Gardens, the ring in the center on this main floor that has now been converted into a grocery store. And Muhammad Ali was solid like Canadian steel, stood tall, 15 rounds against the great Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali, after the match, stated that George Chuvalo was the toughest opponent he had ever come up against in his boxing career. George Chuvalo, not only a champion and respectable in the boxing community, but garnering respect in the city of Toronto, earning not only the keys to the city, but the Order of Canada, a star on the Canada Walk of Fame because of his advocacy in regards to substance abuse, in which it touched home for him. Notable Torontonian and Canadian hung up his boxing gloves in 1979, never knocked down in his 93 bouts in his career. George Chuvalo.